Good morning. My name is Major Todd Mason. I serve as the Area Commander for the Salvation Army of Greater Charlotte, and I extend warm greetings to you this day. Since 1934, we've served the youth of Charlotte through our Boys and Girls Club programs, providing a safe place for them during out-of-school time, a place where they can grow and develop into the productive, caring citizens that they are called to be. We're so excited that you're here today and chose to begin your day with us. Today's event is called Better the Future, and I'd like to give you just a brief backdrop on what that means. The Salvation Army was founded in 1865 in London, England, by William and Catherine Booth. Catherine was a pioneer. She tirelessly advocated for women and youth in particular. One of her most famous quotes is when she said, "If we are to better the future, we must disturb the present." And while that's certainly a very tweetable saying, we hope today that each of us will consider the meaning behind those powerful words. Those words implore us to think about our actions and how they contribute to a future we all want to see. Today, we hope you'll be inspired to be a champion for youth in our community. We hope you'll be moved to join us in seeking to ensure that no matter where a kid is from or the circumstances that surround them, that it should not determine their access to positive experiences and opportunities that enable success in their lives. Today's event is going to be a little fast-paced because we value your time and thank you for being here. And we know you have many things to do today, and so we want to introduce our speaker. But first, just a reminder that we will have a few moments for questions and answers. So if you have a question, please enter that into the chat box so that we can either address it with you live or during our question and answer time at the end. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to our speaker this morning. Mr. Brian Savoy serves as Senior Vice President and Chief Transformation and Administrative Officer for Duke Energy. He leads the company's business transformation through digital innovation, new ways of working, and process redesign. He also has responsibility for the Enterprise Business Services and Technology team, which includes the Information and Technology, Administrative Services, Supply Chain, and Human Resources organizations. Previously, Brian served as Chief Accounting Officer and Controller for Duke Energy, where his responsibilities included the accounting, financial reporting, and internal controls for the corporation. He joined the company in 2001 as a manager in Duke Energy's Energy Trading Unit, Duke Energy North America, and he was named Director of Trading and Risk Services later in that year. Brian led derivative accounting and trading control functions for energy trading and marketing activities, and he was instrumental in the successful wind down and disposition of Duke Energy North America in 2005. Following Duke Energy's merger with Synergy in 2006, he was appointed Vice President and Controller of the Commercial Power segment and was responsible for accounting, financial reporting, and internal controls functions. In 2009, Brian was named Director of Forecasting and Analysis, where he played a significant role in addressing challenging business and strategic issues, including leading financial due diligence for the Duke Energy Progress Energy merger completed in 2012. Prior to joining Duke Energy, Brian was a manager with the international accounting firm Deloitte, one of our sponsors today, where he oversaw audit engagements for large energy clients. Brian earned a Bachelor of Business Administration degree in accounting from Lamar University in Beaumont, Texas, and completed the Advanced Management program at Fuqua School of Business at Duke University. He is a certified public accountant in both Texas and Ohio. Brian currently serves on the boards for Belk College of Business at UNC Charlotte and at Queen's University. He and his wife, Sabrina, along with their son and daughter, live right here in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's with great pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, that we welcome Mr. Brian Savoy.
Thank you, Major, and thanks to all of you for joining today. We're going to get past my resume and more into what's important for today. As we've grown to be accustomed to these Zoom meetings, there's a lot of goodness for them because access is easier, right? You just click a button, you can be in your robe and having coffee, and I hope you are this morning. Um, but I truly miss the personal interaction and the one-on-one conversations that these types of events yield. And I hope we return very soon. But we're going to make the most of this morning. And I want to share a little bit about my life journey and how the role of education, encouragement, and role models got me ready for a career. But before I do, I just want to thank the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Charlotte. The steadfast mission that this organization holds could not be more important. What we've lived through the past 13 months, no one could have ever dreamed we'd have had a pandemic, and we would have shifted all of our learning to virtual. And that exposed some vulnerabilities in our system. We have many children that don't have the opportunity for consistent internet. And the Boys and Girls Clubs work to build that digital divide, to close that digital divide and help those children stay connected to their schools, ensuring they completed their studies. And most importantly, getting meals, right? Schools play a huge role in ensuring children have breakfast and lunch and maybe a snack even. And the Boys and Girls Clubs fit that gap that was created in a huge way. We've always had afternoon snacks at the Boys and Girls Clubs, but they played a bigger role during the pandemic and never wavered, right? They never closed. They stood strong, stood for our children, and stood with them. And, the importance of just asking a child, have you completed your homework today? Have you completed your studies? That encourages them to do more, to reach higher, to go further. We can't allow these circumstances to jeopardize our education and our future. Our children's future is way too important. Our future as a country is way too important. So I'd ask you to lean in today, listen for a few minutes. I'm going to share a couple of stories. Then we're going to get to the business at hand, which is us supporting the Boys and Girls Clubs in very tangible ways. As I thought about my journey, I grew up in Southeast Texas, a very blue-collar community. My parents divorced when I was 9, and that was devastating to me. I did not want to be one of those kids, right, where we were from a broken home. I lived with my dad, and I was an only child, so it was just my dad and I, two guys in a house. He was a steel worker, blue-collar to the bone, union president for the last 12 years of his working life. But he saw something more in me. He always said, Brian, you're going to college. I didn't know that was in the cards for me. I was the first one to go to college out of my extended family. But my dad never wavered. He said, you can do anything you set your mind to. And he said, you're not going to the military. You're not going to do this. You're going to go to college. And he was in the Navy. And then he went to work in the steel mill. He actually put me in the steel mill the summer after I graduated from high school for 3 months. I realized why he wanted me to go to college. The work is hard, it's dirty, and it's hot. And he did it for 35 years to give me a better life. And, looking back, I realized how blessed I was to have a dad that believed in me, that cared for me. He always checked my grades. He always checked that I went to football practice. He ensured that I did the things I was supposed to do to build the character and integrity I needed to be a successful human being and a man in this world. But now I had a new problem. I was going to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. My dad had no idea how to even apply. But a friend I had in high school, Christy, her brother, Kevin, worked at Deloitte. He was a manager at Deloitte & Touche in Houston, which was a couple of hours away. But one Sunday afternoon, I was at Christy's house, and Kevin came over, and he spent a couple of hours with me, and he told me what he did every day working. I said, wow, I think I want to do that. I saw him moving up in his career. He was expanding his responsibility. He was meeting all these new companies, serving clients across the South, right? But way beyond Texas. I thought traveling would be cool. And I chose accounting, and I started my career in finance. And that set me on a path. I built a plan. I applied to a number of schools. I went to Lamar University, a smaller school in Texas, but I was accepted in many schools. But I chose there and made the most of it. And I think back to those words my dad gave me: you can do anything you set your mind to. Huge, huge impact on a young person's life. You know, when I think about those influences, Kevin, my dad, many others that I talked to when I was in high school, I realized I need to be giving back as well. And, you know, my wife, Sabrina, and I were trying to have children, and we lived in Houston, Texas, and I was just started at Duke at that time, 20 years ago or so. We were trying to adopt, and we had a number of failed adoptions because we weren't able to have children naturally. And eventually, we adopted a young girl, baby, Miranda, and it was orchestrated by God. Right? Every adoption is precious, and I don't have enough time to share the story, but tears would be coming across your eyes right now if I did. But Miranda, her birth mother, had a problem with drugs, and her birth mom died 6 months after Miranda was born, and we had her. And we stayed connected with the family, the extended family, and they've seen Miranda grow up. Miranda's 16 now. She's driving. She's in high school. Beautiful blonde hair, blue-eyed girl. And then a few years later, we lived in Cincinnati, and I was with Duke as well. And we decided to adopt another child. And Miranda and I wanted a little sister, but we got a little boy, Nathan, and he is full Hispanic, and he's 13 now. And his birth mom was 16 years old. And I have many people come to Sabrina and I saying, look, those children are so fortunate to have you and Sabrina take them in and raise them. And I said, no, we're the fortunate ones. God put those kids in our life when we needed children to grow in love. And that meant everything to us, and it still does. And I can only imagine what life they would have had with a birth mom that passed away and one that was very young, really not ready to have a child. And how organizations like the Boys and Girls Clubs help children just like Miranda and Nathan every single day, providing that guidance and coaching that they desperately need to ensure their schoolwork is done, to ensure they get a snack, to ensure they're getting some exercise. All those things that I make sure my kids do every day. When I think about the corporate world, I have so many professionals ask me, Brian, do you have 15 minutes? I want to talk about my career. I'm not sure what I want to do right now. And never underestimate the power of just taking a few minutes and sharing a challenge you had and how you overcame it, how you made a decision when it seemed there were two paths that were equally valuable and I don't want to make the wrong one. Just taking a few minutes and spending some time mentoring someone can mean the world for them and really change their career trajectory. So I'm asking to lean in to others. Think about how your career, your life has been shaped and how you can make a difference. And I want you to think about how you can invest in the Boys and Girls Clubs. What they're doing for our youth in the Charlotte area is amazing work. And it's always been, right? Major shared since 1934. Boys and Girls Clubs have been serving the greater Charlotte area, and it only expanded. And I served on the Salvation Army Board of Advisors for about 5 years, 2009 to 2014. And I saw firsthand the impact of the Boys and Girls Clubs. I visited many of the clubs. I saw these young people and how they're smiling and learning and having a good time, but also advancing their knowledge, their skills, playing basketball. At one point, we christened a gym for the Charlotte Hornets, which was a really cool thing. Impactful work that we cannot undersell. And I want each of you to think about what your role is to advance the mission of the Boys and Girls Clubs. Thank you for listening this morning. We're going to move into some Q&A.
Brian, thank you.
Yes,
Wow,
Major.
amazing. It's so good to hear other people's passion and compassion, and we're so grateful for you today. We've allowed a few moments for questions and answers, and Brian's been gracious to allow that. So we're just going to get right into it, if that's okay with you.
Excellent.
All right.
Yes.
So you've spoken a lot this morning about opportunity, both personally and in our community. And in regards to economic opportunities, what do we need to do as individuals or as a city as a whole to close that opportunity gap and actually see results in this area?
You know, Major, one thing we're not proud of as a city is our economic mobility. We rank among the lowest of thriving cities in the United States. I think we're in the bottom of the top 50, and it's a shame because Charlotte is such a thriving city with businesses moving here, jobs created, but it seems like the gap is ever widening. And there are so many programs trying to close that gap, right? Trying to show young people what jobs they can do, because they may not even see themselves in those jobs. You know, in my profession, we're trying to show young people jobs in technology and jobs in line technicians, serving power lines, right? These are all really good paying jobs that don't necessarily require a 4-year degree, right? They require some training, but it's not as extensive as a college degree that might just seem out of reach. Connecting young people to those programs, because the programs exist and there's money going into them. I think it's a matching opportunity for us to bring candidates and opportunities together. But we have a lot of work to do in Charlotte to bridge that gap.
One of the things I appreciate most about you is the way you really have passion for the youth, and you really want to see investments made in their future. So with that, what do you think some of the greatest challenges facing our youth today are?
You know, I mentioned not seeing what jobs I might be eligible for. You know, and I remember that conversation with Kevin that Sunday afternoon. I never thought I would be at Deloitte, right? Deloitte is a massive accounting firm. You know, about that time, John Grisham's book, The Firm, was very popular. And this reminded me of that kind of thing. I'm like, why would they pick this podunk kid from Southeast Texas to go do this? And Kevin ended up interviewing me for the job I took at Deloitte, which is ironic. But I think showing young people what careers are out there and then what they make, right? Because the value of every job is important, right? And it's hard if you're growing up in a community that might be insulated on job opportunities. They may not see, wow, I can do coding, right? I can get into this. What is it? You know, I just need to take a few courses and I can learn a lot of stuff on the job. That is where I feel like the biggest opportunity for our youth are.
Speaking with you off camera and hearing your remarks this morning, I know already that you have two great loves. That's your family and your work. And so with that, how do you pass on your passion to both your children at home and your colleagues at Duke Energy?
Wow. Well, you know, I live out 3 values, and I adopted these values 15 years ago, and they center around integrity, stewardship, and accountability. And that's the lens of which I process every decision that I make and how I operate day in and day out. And my kids see it, and they see the ugly of the uglies, right? They've got you at 2 a.m. And obviously at work, when I'm leading teams, driving impact, and I feel like the consistency of a person's authentic self is how others get behind you and also demonstrate how you get forward.
Sure. You've certainly exhibited that today, and we're so grateful for you. Thanks for being with us for this special occasion. Before we wrap things up, a couple special people we want you to meet who will kind of close our meeting out today. First, we have a special student from our Boys and Girls Clubs that we want you to meet. He is our Youth of the Year, Mr. Cameron Chambers. Cameron was not only selected here in Charlotte, but He also was named the Youth of the Year for the Salvation Army Boys and Girls Clubs across North Carolina. So great accomplishment for him. And then afterwards, Brandon Powell, who currently serves as our chair for our Boys and Girls Club Advisory Council, will join us for a few closing remarks. So thank you so much for being with us today. We're truly grateful.
Hello, everybody. My name is Cameron Chambers, and today I want to share with you how the Boys and Girls Club has shaped me into becoming the best version of myself. So, what does the best version of me mean? Let me tell you of my journey. Well, my story started over 10 years ago. At the time, I was shy and childish, but maybe after the course of the day, that I broke out of that. Being at the club was the time of my life, and it just got better over the years. I will admit I wasn't the best kid, always getting in some type of trouble, but that was before I was truly building character. There was a point in time where I had to ask myself, what do I do? Who should I become? What do I want to do? Once I started high school, I had to really look into it. I was on the search for my own values and standards, and it was a period of time where I was just stuck. But over time, with the guidance of staff and the collaboration of children around me, I found my answers. I want to be successful in my own way. Now, a lot of people view success differently, but when it comes to me, I want to completely apply myself into everything I do, simply meaning being the best version of myself. I will always seek a way to improve myself, for that is one way to hold myself accountable. And lastly, something that should have seemed obvious to me, something that I didn't realize I wanted until the words slapped me in my face. I want to do something that I wholeheartedly enjoy. Before the passing of my mentor, one thing I would always do is ask him for $1. He would always tell me, you'll have your own money once you focus on your career, but the money will come easy. The enjoyment is something that can easily fade. I took those words to heart the moment I heard them. I will work towards having a profession that I take pleasure in and enjoy more than anything. I keep these as my personal truth, something I will live by every day. Now, on my way out, headed to college, and I'm more than ready. The Boys and Girls Club has provided an abundant amount of support and opportunities to get me there. I was able to obtain a level of confidence that allowed me to widen my interests with several different experiences, from school tours to participating in workshops, and even networking. For example, the Code to Success program, where I learned how to create my own website from scratch, gave me additional experience for the major I'm going to be focused on, which is computer science. Youth Entrepreneurs Organization, where we were given a topic and we're assigned to build our own project. From that, I was able to be collaborative and work in a team to give each other ideas to better improve our final project. It also assisted my confidence to be self-driven, two qualities that will help me into my next phase of life. When I first became a Boys and Girls Club member, I would have never thought it would have broadened my horizons to such an extent and helped me develop myself into what I have become. So what does the best version of me look like? Well, you're looking at them, and I have the Boys and Girls Club to thank for that, and I am so blessed to have them in my life.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Brandon Powell, and I have the privilege of serving as the chair of the Advisory Council for the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Charlotte. I want to thank you for being with us today. Hopefully you've been inspired, just like I've been, to work together to support our youth in our community. The theme of our event is Better the Future. We know that in order to create a better future for our young people, we cannot continue to maintain the status quo. Regardless of a kid's zip code or circumstances, that should not determine their access to opportunity. We have a few ways for you to get involved today. Number one, be an advocate for our youth. Make a difference. Share what you've experienced today with someone else. Have a conversation. Tell them about the Boys and Girls Clubs and the environment that we are creating to engage and empower today's youth. Secondly, make a plan to attend one of our future events. We host club tours the second Tuesday of every month, and you can really see the clubs in actions at one of our club tours. Secondly, we'll also be hosting additional virtual events, and then we'll invite you to attend. Finally, you can make a financial gift. Become a champion for the youth in our community. Join the movement to truly better the future. We put a link in the chat box, or you can go to www.bgccharlotte.org/greatfutures. Later this morning, you'll also receive an email with a free download that will give you more information about the impact of the programs that we offer, like the Boys and Girls Club after-school programs. We hope you will take the time to review this report as it shares about how these programs make for safer childhoods, promote healthier lifestyles, and prepare our children for great futures. We'll also include details about the events I've just mentioned and how you can register and attend. Before we close, I also want to thank a few special folks who made today possible. First, our sponsors, RSM and Deloitte. Thank you for your commitment to the Boys and Girls Clubs. I'd also like to thank some of our Circle of Champion donors, such as the Bright House Financial Foundation and the Hendricks Family Foundation and EY. I'd also like to thank Brian Savoy for being our guest today and sharing from your heart. Thank you to our Youth of the Year, Cameron Chambers, for sharing your story. Congratulations, Cameron, and we're looking forward to seeing the big things that you are sure to accomplish. Again, thank you everyone for being with us today. If we are to better the future, we must disturb the present. Let's go better the future for our youth today by what we do after we leave here. Thank you.